signed in. If you arrived early and did not have the chance to sign in, please come here now. Assuming you're a registered Democrat. Okay, we're going to get started momentarily. Thank you, everybody, for your incredibly gracious, good humor in helping us deal with our delay. We are sorry about that. Okay, we're going to start. Yeah. So.
Quiet, please. Quiet. Thank you.
Okay, folks. I'm Brian Powers. Many of you know me. It's great to see everybody here. Even in a town with as many great and gifted people as we have, it's hard to find folks willing to take responsibility for the well-being of their own community, which is what local government is. So this year, however, we have an abundance, almost an embarrassing abundance of great candidates. You're going to hear from all of them shortly and briefly. First, though, I want to welcome you on behalf of our town's Democratic Committee. That would be myself, my co-chair, Kathy Nolan. Kathy, are you someplace? And the other members of our committee, Vivian Welton, our secretary. Can you guys stand up? Okay. Vivian Welton, Karen Charnon, our treasurer. Her husband, Dave Channon. Dave. Michelle Spark. Matt Frisch. Ellen Parker. And Catherine Goltufo. Along with our committee, we also have three other people who are key here. James Amenta, where's James? Where's James? Robert Drake, and Angel Molina. So these three, in addition to our committee, are the people who've been doing what's necessary to keep our local party going. Going forward, we can use your help, so please talk to us. Please talk to anyone on our committee. We're about to start our neighbor-to-neighbor process where we begin to talk to every registered Democrat in Shandaken about the upcoming elections, and we need people to help us. So talk to your friends, talk to our committee. I want to say a few words briefly about what we've come through as a town in the 31 years I've lived here. For most of that time, Shandaken's Republicans told us the big problem with our local economy is there aren't enough visitor accommodations, and until we get them, our town will be hopelessly depressed. The only solution, they told us, was to double the number of people here by building the largest resort ever proposed for the Northeast. Well, the Bella Resort was never built, even though our last two Republican supervisors moved heaven and earth with every lever of town government to try and make that happen. So I think time has proven that Shandaken's Democrats were always right and always prescient in seeking smaller, smarter, lower impact development options. And many of these options have been moving forward beautifully in recent years, as you've all seen. But things can and do change quickly. None of us saw COVID coming, nor do we see the new model of visitation, home sharing, short-term rentals that in recent years has brought real economic life to our town. At a cost? Yes. And are regulations needed now? Yes, everyone seems to agree on that. But that's now the largest industry in Shandaken. And as a town, our job is to make things work as well as they can for every resident here. Meanwhile, in the world beyond Shandaken, nationwide, we can all see what the Republican Party has become. Honoring only the raw exercise of power, they no longer believe in representative democracy, in free or fair elections. Believing science is a scam and that other people are coming to steal what's theirs, they actually think the rest of us operate from the same motivations they do, which we don't. I rather doubt that people like Trump and Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy can even imagine the kind of tolerant and respectful and loving place that we Democrats and that most people in Shandaken are hoping to live in here. Maybe one day we'll have a country and a town where we don't need political parties to help put the best people in office. Until that day comes, this is the process we have, and thank you for being a part of it. So, okay, so our first order of business is to swear in the secretary of this caucus, which is Holly George Wall. Holly? Alan Ball, are you going to read the oath?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good to see everybody out there. I, Holly George Warren, solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, the election law of the State of New York, and the rules of the Ulster County Democratic Party by promise and affirmation, by my honor and by my conscience.
Thank you.
And now, David Pallord, I'll swear you in.
I, David Pallard, solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, the election law of the State of New York, and the rules of the Ulster County Democratic Party by promise and affirmation, by my honor and by my conscience. Thank you. I call to order the 2021 Town of Shandaken Democratic Caucus, otherwise known as a hot Tommy in the Old Town tonight. Here we go. Let me get used to this mic. Okay, can everybody hear? All right. If you would all actually please stand now and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is right there.
Come on, lady.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Amen.
All right. We are here to nominate Democratic candidates for offices in the town of Shandaken. Those offices are Town Justice, Supervisor, Highway Superintendent, 2 assessor seats, and 2 seats for Town Council. So I'm also at this point now going to swear in the people that are counting ballots and doing the name checking. If you would come forward, please. I'll read this. I'll read this, and then you can just say I swear. All right? Everybody here? All right. Okay, here we go. I solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, the election law of the State of New York, and the rules of the Ulster County Democratic Party by promise and affirmation, by my honor and by my conscience. I swear. Thank you very much. All right. Any person nominated this evening must be nominated by an enrolled Democrat in the town of Shandaken and seconded by an enrolled Democrat in the town of Shandaken. Only enrolled Democrats in the town of Shandaken can vote in this caucus. Therefore, we ask each person nominating and seconding a candidate to state your full name, place of residence, and party affiliation for the secretary. When nominating and seconding, there is no need to come forward, stand, and address the caucus from your seats. Please keep nominating speeches to 3 minutes or less, and there is no need for the person seconding the nomination to give a speech. Just say, yeah, she's great, or yeah, he's great, I second. Okay? Let's keep this short and sweet. Okay, the nominees will address the caucus at the end of the nominating process for each office. Nominees should keep their speeches to 5 minutes or less. The mic here will be for the nominees to speak. Okay? Should there be a contested office, meaning there are more candidates than available seats for an office, the caucus will vote by paper ballot on these offices at the end of the entire nominating process. Should a vacancy occur because the person nominated by the caucus is unable to fulfill the obligation, a committee to fill the vacancy will designate a new candidate. That committee is composed of Doris Bartlett, Tom Rinaldo, and myself, David Pollard. These people have agreed to serve. We will follow Robert's Rules of Order. If you are the successful nominee chosen by the caucus and not an enrolled Democrat, you must approach the secretary of the caucus this evening to fill out the necessary paperwork. All right. Now, a few little housekeeping. There is an email list, Michelle Spark. If you'd like to be on the mailing list for the Shandaken Democratic Committee, please see Michelle for that. There's water on the back table. There's a bag for recyclables there. There is a garbage can up front here. If you have any food garbage, please take that home with you tonight because there will be no garbage pickup until tomorrow. So we don't want a lot of critters around here, okay? We have some notables. We'd like to mention that Kathy Nolan is here. She is running for Ulster County Legislator for our district. Joyce Grant, our town clerk, is in attendance. We would also like to thank Chief Assessor Pete DeMonica and Town Council Member Faye Storms for their service to the town. I'd also like to thank Ellen Cole, who is filming the caucus tonight, and I understand someone gave her a last-minute ride here. Whoever that was, we're very grateful. The tape of the caucus will be shown on Channel 23 over the next couple weeks. And finally, I'd like to thank the Shandaken Democratic Committee and everyone who helped put this caucus together. So, we will start the nominating process with the Office of Town Justice. Joyce Grant?
I have to go up, if you don't mind. First of all, I want to thank you all for the support. It's my 10th year, third term. I still love the job.
There's a mic there.
And, I'm not loud enough? So I want to thank you, 10 years, and I still love the job, and I hope that my work record shows my gratitude. I usually one-on-one excessively on the phone, so. Anyway, I'm here to nominate Tom Crusade. My name is Joyce Ann Grant, lifelong Democrat, Chichester, New York. Yeah. Okay, so Thomas Crusade. I have a list here of his qualifications. Thomas Crusade has been a resident of Shandaken for 36 years. He has been our, Shandaken Town Justice since 1997. That's 23 years. That's right. He has an impressive education, which includes teaching business law, continued annual judicial education classes, so he's up on the new laws. His military career is well known here. He served in Vietnam and as a Green Beret, as a medic. He was awarded the Combat Medical Badge, 2 Bronze Stars, and awarded the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry. He continues to serve our community. He worked on the Shandaken Ambulance, a scoutmaster for many years, and continues to serve with the VFW and Legion Post 950, and of course, the Phoenicia Rotary. I work with him picking up garbage on a volunteer basis. As a town justice, he is truly a gem to our town. I have never gone in front of the judge, not yet anyway. But everyone I know who has never had a negative comment. He is fair, just, respectful, and firm when he has to be. He knows the law, he helps when he can, and he really cares about our people. He has a huge impact on many people in this town. Let's keep him as our judge.
Hi, my name is Janet Klugavich. I live at 9 Kemper Avenue, Phoenicia, and I am a registered Democrat. And I stand to second the nomination for Tom Crusade for Town Justice. And I've been a neighbor of his since I moved here in 2002. And I think he's a wonderful person, a gift to the community, and fine justice.
Thank you, Janet. Peter Disclafani.
town justice. I don't have his resume with me, but he is a great justice. He's served here for 15 years and is doing a great job. Vote for Mike.
All right, are there any other nominations?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Rolf, you're
Hi.
going.
My name is Rolf Reese. I'm a resident of Woodland Valley. First moved here full-time in 1978, and Michael Miranda was one of the first people that I met. And I've known him ever since, followed his career, and you can't do better than with Mike. He's a sweetheart. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rolf. All right, are there any other nominations for town justice? Second call, are there any nominations for town justice? Third and final call, are there any nominations for town justice?
I move we close the nominations.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Since Tom Crusay and Mike Miranda are the only two nominees for the two offices of town justice, I ask the secretary to cast a unanimous vote for Tom Crusay and Michael Miranda to be our nominees for town justice. So, Tom, you can come up and address the caucus.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here to your caucus. I want to say that being the town justice has been one of the honors of my life. Ever since John F. Kennedy made that famous statement, way back when, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country, I have believed in service to my nation, service to my community. At this stage in my life, I can't run and jump too much anymore, but I can certainly still be a town justice with the training that I've got. That's the most logical thing for me to do, and I very much appreciate your nomination here tonight. Thank you.
Is Mike Miranda here this evening? Mike, come up and speak to the caucus.
I'm a little late.
There's a
That's
mic there, Mike.
Oh, I don't like it very much. My ears are clogged up, so if I sound like I'm yelling, I probably am. I just want to say I appreciate it very much for your support for the last 12 years and the next coming 4 years. Is that the rate coming? I enjoy what I'm doing. I think that Tom, myself, and our clerk, Wendy, run a really tight ship. We never have any problems, and I respect the people who come into the court. Neither one of us are ever partial. Everyone who deserves respect gets due respect. Sometimes it's a tough job, it really is. It's worse than being a prosecutor when I was a prosecutor, because someone's always unhappy. They walk out of the court, there's always someone unhappy. So that's life, but I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. All right. The caucus will now entertain nominations for the office of supervisor. Joyce Grant.
The last one, I promise. I would like to nominate lifelong Democrat Peter DeSclafani for the position of town supervisor. Peter is a 33-year local business owner. He has served in town public office That's been He has served in town public office for many years as a board member, as well as our town supervisor. He volunteers for the fire department and during town emergencies, always. COVID, he was always there. As far as supervisor, he knows the job. As far as a business person, he knows how to watch the bottom line. He is experienced, mature, kind, and open to new ideas. He would be a huge asset to our town. The town clerks and supervisor offices are separate entities. Neither is the other one's boss, but they do constantly work together. We have a great team at the town hall. This saves you money and our aggravation. If elected, Peter will keep the present supervisor staff intact. And because of his work, he's able to be in our town hall at least 20 to 25 hours a week. He has my vote, and I hope he has yours.
There is a Subaru with license plate, what is it, HFL? 1835, your windows are open. Is that you?
Yeah.
All right. Phil Mansfield.
Yeah, I'm Bill Mansfield. I live at 26 Church Street, Venetia. I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I second Peter. I've known him since working on the Democratic Committee. I've known him from Catskill Road, and it's a pleasure and an honor.
Are there any other nominees for supervisor? Second call, are there any nominees for supervisor? Third and final call, are there any nominees for supervisor? Second? The nominations for supervisor are closed. So since Peter Davis-Lafani is the only nominee for the office of supervisor, I ask the secretary to cast a unanimous vote for Peter Davis-Lafani to be our nominee for supervisor. Peter, you may now speak.
I know, I'm going to go on for about a half hour. Okay. Thank you very much for your support, and I'll be there. I'll be watching the budget very closely, and because it's a value to us, what we do as the town, our department, police force, ambulance, and everything. The budget is a very important thing, and that's what we have to watch. I'm sorry if you can't hear me, and vote for me in November. Thank you.
All right, the caucus will now entertain nominations for Highway Superintendent Beth Waterman. Don't forget to state your name and everything.
My name is Beth Waterman. I'm a registered Democrat. I live on Rose Mountain Road in Big Indian. Rose Mountain Road is one of the steepest roads in the town. So I am particularly grateful for all the good work of the Highway Department maintaining the road throughout the year. 14 years ago, when Eric Hoffmeister first ran for Highway Superintendent, he said he was going to apply for grants, and that impressed me. I have watched over the years as he has succeeded in getting grants throughout from FEMA, the federal government, to help improve our highways and bridges. Currently, the Highway Department is rebuilding the bridge in Peck Hollow. It's a $1.25 million project. And he has a $925,000 grant to help support the project. So that's saving the town a lot of money. Eric knows how to manage money, men, and machinery. And I nominate him for Highway Superintendent.
Thank you, Beth. Representative Otia Lee. Second? Second, Otia Lee is the second. Thank you. All right. Karen Sharman.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you all came tonight. I'm here to nominate Joe Rotella for Superintendent for Shandaken Highway Department. I first met Joe last year when he was on the road crew, cutting bushes on our road, and our encounter was incredibly friendly. He was very respectful and very, very responsive to my concerns, because previously, some years ago, we came home one time and our forsythia bushes in front of our house were completely butchered. So I didn't want that to happen again, and he said, no problem, and it was great. I recently met him again when he came to our committee, informing us that he wanted to seek the nomination for Highway Department Superintendent. And we've been hearing a lot of things over the years about mismanagement in the highway department. The morale is really low among the workers. Talk of equipment being bought that doesn't work properly, that's just lying around. And it can just... Wow. I live on Broad Street Hollow. Oh, by the way, yes, lifelong Democrat, Shandaken resident. Our road has been an absolute mess. Yet roads like Peck Hollow, which have 2 people living on it, get paved. So we've been concerned about the priorities of the highway department. And while Joe has been working there for 4 years, he knows the job really well. He's also indicated to us that he will surround himself with people who can guide him to get grants and things like that, the parts of the job that he's not as familiar with. I was really impressed by his integrity, his sincerity. He's been a lifelong resident of Shandaken. His whole family has worked for either the town or the county, the state, many, many members of his family. He deeply loves Shandaken. He believes that we deserve better than what we're getting now, and I have faith that he will carry it out and also lift the morale of the workers there. So for all those reasons, I nominate Joe Rotella for Highway Superintendent for the town of Shandaken.
Can I have a second for Joe Rotella?
My name is Kathleen Nolan, and I live on Route 28. My name is Kathy Nolan, and I live on Route 28. Can you hear me now? Thanks. Thank you. So, Kathy Nolan, I live in Mount Trumbull, lifelong Democrat, and I enthusiastically second the nomination of Joe Rotella. He is a person of evident integrity. He is a person that has experience in a wide range of work situations and at various levels. I think he is a person who is going to impress all of us with his common sense, decency, and good judgment. And he is sincere about service to his family and his community. I should say that where I live is actually in the house that Edmund White lived for the last 50 years of her life until she was 102. And I just love the idea that we have over 200 people, Democrats, here as a caucus. And I would really hope that we would put Joe Rotella in as our next highway superintendent. Thank you.
All right, are there any other nominations for highway superintendent? Second call, are there any other nominations for highway superintendent? Third and final call, are there any nominations for highway superintendent? Second? All those in favor of closing nominations say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The nominations for highway superintendent are closed. We will vote on this by paper ballot at the end of the nominating process. Now we will have Eric Hoffmeister address the caucus, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank everybody for coming out tonight. Now, rainy night. Thank you, Beth and Ozia, for nominating me and seconding me. Many people think my job as a highway superintendent is just running the highway crew, but that's only part of it. The crew is mostly run by the foremen under my direction. Change roads, change pipe, do what I tell them to do for the day, and that's their job to run the crew. I can't follow 15 guys around the town every day, all day long. So my job is more administrative, trying to save the town money, trying to do what we can do with the money we have. Part of my job is planning. I plan roads and bridges 5, 10, 15 years out. So we have 62 miles of road and 27 bridges in this town that we're responsible for. I know a lot about highway laws from being here for 14 years and dealing with problems with the highway, with right-of-way issues, and it's invaluable for the town to keep the town from getting sued or anything like that. I deal with agencies like DOT, FEMA, DEP, NRCS, and many, many more acronyms like that constantly. I am a certified floodplain manager at CFM, which is a certification from FEMA, and probably the only highway superintendent in the state of New York that has that certification. I'm also was trained in fluvial geomorphology from David Roskin, one of the top stream designers in the country. Writing grants, like the one for the Peckall Bridge that's under construction right now. That's a $1,250,000 project. The town would take a 12-hour paving budget for probably 5, 6 years to pay for that bridge. I got a grant from Bridge, New York for $950,000 and another grant for $220,000 for the AWSMP to cover most of the cost of that bridge. I got another grant recently for Pine Hill. Pine Hill, we're going to do a bridge study and preliminary design on some of the bridges in Pine Hill. Pine Hill, the little town of Pine Hill, these bridges, and some of them are historic. A real pain to work on historic bridges. Another example is Hurricane Irene. FEMA denied 5 bridges and 3 large slope failures. I went through a lengthy appeal process to get 4 of the bridges and 3 of the slope failures paid for by FEMA. That was about $4 million that the town didn't have to come up with. The 5th bridge was paid for by the state community rising grant. So all those bridges and slope failures were paid for by the federal government or the state, not by us. I buy equipment for the federal surplus, so for a fraction of the cost to save us money. And let's not forget cold winters, long nights and days keeping the roads clear and safe for everyone. I've been a highway superintendent for 14 years and I like what I do. I would like your support here to go for another few years. Thank you.
Joe Rotella, if you'd like to address the caucus.
Hi, how are you all doing? I wanted to let you all know that this is showing up. My name is Joe Rotella. I'm living in Shandaken all my life. This is all new. This is all new. I'd love to have a history of my boss at the moment. It's just, I have a lot of different ideas and plans I'd like to see done at the town. There's different ways, different ideas. Making our roads a lot safer, finishing jobs that we start, making sure everything gets completed, taking care of the trees that we need to get down that are unsafe, making sure our town is environmentally safe. And on grants net, it's all new to me, but I have 3 individuals that are willing and they're going to help me work with it. And I believe that we're going to be able to accomplish good things. And I just need the opportunity to prove that I can do the job. I'm willing to give 110%. You're more willing to get a hold of me 24/7, anytime. I'm always around. I have no problem answering questions. We just need to really get together and bring back Shandaken, bring it back the way it used to be, bring things back, make things safe, nice, take care of our guardrails, the signs. It's a big job. There's a lot to do involved. There's a lot to do, and I'm more than willing to give a shot and do what I need to do. I have faith I can do the job. I have faith in the guys that I work with. I don't know what to really say. This is kind of a little odd. I apologize. Hopefully I'll get that right. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. The next office we will receive nominations for is that of assessor. Pete DeMonica.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. All right, so first of all, I'll say I'm a lifelong Democrat. I've lived kicking around this town for 45 years, business in Pine Hill. I've been also kicking around town government for about 20 years, sometimes infamously, but I'm still there. It's my distinct pleasure to nominate Grace Grant to become the next assessor for the town of Shandaken. I couldn't have done the job without her in all the years. She's been there for 8 years, and she has an incredible knowledge of every aspect, from assessing to exemptions to valuations, all that stuff. She's shown that it's not a place to be scared of, but a place to get information about your property and help with your exemptions and explanation of valuation. And really, if everyone who's come into the assessor's office and had Grace help them just talk to their friends that may not have had that experience, the whole town would be voting for it. So, thank you, and vote for Grace.
Carol Seitz.
Hi, I'm Carol Seitz, and I live in Woodland Valley. I worked with Grace for 3 years while I served on the Board of Assessment. He is super smart, super hard working, has a ton of experience, 100% wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Dave Channon.
Hello, I'm Dave Channon. I've been living here for a little over 20 years on Broad Street Hollow, and I've been working as an assessor for, I guess, about 5 or 6 years now. And it's a really exciting job. I get to meet a lot of people, and I learn all about the different hidden little places that you may have never thought about. I want to nominate Steve Neville. I know him as a friend and as a coworker. We've worked on some projects together. He knows about buildings. I believe he would be a very, very good person for this job, and I know we can work together. He has experience as a respiratory therapist, and that job requires extreme accuracy in numbers. And if anything, the assessor job is about numbers. We go out there and we measure things. You got to know what the number is on the tape measure. You got to be very. I'm only kidding. It's a very, very basic job. The most important thing is to just do it accurately and evenly for everyone you visit, and pay attention to details. It is difficult to pass the educational part, and he's got experiences in math that will make it a breeze for him. I had a hard time passing the test, so I want you to vote for Steve Neville. He's a great guy, and honest, and a very warm-hearted person, and I think he'll make a great, great assessor.
Thank you, Bill. Janet?
My name is Janet Klugevich. I live at 9 Tremper Avenue in Phoenicia. I'm a lifelong Democrat. And I'd like to second the nomination of Steve Neville. I think he'd be a great assessor. I spoke with him about his background, and he seems to have the kind of experience that indicates he would succeed in that field.
Thank you, Janet. Are there any other nominations for assessor? Second call, are there any nominations for assessor seats? Third and final call, are there any nominations for assessor?
Motion to close nominations.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Since Grace Grant and Steve Neville are the only nominees for the 2 offices of assessor, I ask the secretary to cast a unanimous vote for Grace Grant and Steve Neville to be our nominees for assessor. So, Grace, if you'd like to address the caucus.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to thank everybody for having me here and for the nomination. I really appreciate it. I've been in the office for 8 years now, and I've worked with really, really wonderful people, and I've learned a lot. I hope to continue doing good work, and I feel like we can do that. So thank you very much.
Okay, Steve, would you like to address the caucus?
How you doing? So Dave has kind of stolen a little bit of my thunder about being a therapist and stuff like that, but I was also, when I retired from respiratory therapy, I was also the treasurer of the church in Connecticut. So most of the job of being an assessor is data collection. So being a treasurer, being a therapist, they're kind of all connected. And the reason that I want this job is because it's time to do more for the town that I really like. Well, I could say love, but that I really like. So that's my main reason for doing that. And the other reason is that I'm stepping into a job that the people already do really well. I mean, you don't really hear any controversy about the assessor's office. I mean, the people who work there are pretty amazing. So for me, it's a win-win situation to work with people like that. Okay, thank you.
All right, we will now entertain nominations for town council. Liz Potter?
Hi, my name is Liz Potter, and I've been a Democrat for 35 years, and I live in Phoenicia. I'm here to nominate Robert Drake for town board. Robert is fantastic. He has worked for about 10 years in government and public service, and he basically in technology, so he has those skills. He could bring technology, grant writing, and administration. He's administered multi-million-dollar budgets, so he has some really good skills. Also, I personally feel that Robert embodies the spirit of the Catskills that we are trying to preserve and augment here. He loves these mountains more than any other person I know. He has hiked every single damn mountain in the Catskills as part of the Catskill 3500. And he has 2 properties in Phoenicia, and he has affordable housing for long-term renters who are residents here. And also he has just opened up a shop with Cole, his girlfriend, and it features the arts, writing, and woodworking of Shandaken residents. So, also, personally, Robert is a gem, and he works so well with other people. He's very humble and basically mellow and quiet, and when he says something, it's really powerful. And he has a really big heart, too. The biggest reason I urged Robert to run, and I've never nominated somebody to town board, is, in the 20 years I've been here, is Robert's ability to complete things that he starts. And in the 20 years since I've been here, collectively as a community, we've had so many good ideas. I mean, and they keep coming up and keep coming up. And some of them we're able to do. People here have actually gotten stuff done, gotten grants and built things. But a lot of the stuff we hope to do in the projects, we just can't seem to complete. And Robert is a completer. He works with giant lists, and he checks off each item. I've seen this. Check, 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 check. And he doesn't stop till he checks the last one, and he's done. That's why I want Robert on the town board. Thank you.
I enthusiastically support the nomination of Robert Drake for town board.
Thank you, Beth. Mark Lodi? Mark Lodi?
Hi, thank you. My name is Mark Lodi. I'm a 19-year resident of Chichester and a registered Democrat. Elizabeth Neisel has been a 3-year resident of Phoenicia, and to some of us that may not seem like a long time, but within those 3 years, Elizabeth has given us an impressive contribution to our Shandaken community. I'm also the chair of the Shandaken Zoning Board of Appeals, and I was the former chair of the Short-Term Rental Committee. And I met Elizabeth through her work on the Short-Term Rental Committee. The committee was convened in 2019. We had 11 meetings, and in April of 2020, we gave 23 recommendations to the town board to help to regulate, but also to enable our short-term rental Airbnb community. And that's when I met Elizabeth, and I found that her professionalism, her business experience, her intelligence, her negotiating skills, her people skills were invaluable in completing the work that we did for the short-term rental committee. I also mentioned I'm the chairman of the zoning board for Shandaken, and there was a vacancy that was formed with the passing of Keith Johnson, the former chair of the zoning board. And in August of 2020, Elizabeth was again front and center in volunteering to fill that position. And again, those same skills, those same life skills, those same qualities that I mentioned earlier, her professionalism, her business experience, her people skills, her leadership skills, her negotiating skills have been an invaluable contribution to the workings of our Shandaken zoning board. And after all, the decisions of the zoning board are heavily influenced. The community character and the outlook of this town. So we consider this to be very important work. Elizabeth has given in the written statement, she wants us to know that she's employed as a technical systems engineer, and in that position she designs and builds things ranging from spectacular automated shows for Las Vegas resorts, to flight simulators, to broadcast communications rooms, to interactive exhibits and museums. So quite an impressive resume. And she says by and large museums are her favorite projects. After 25 years of working with a couple of the larger firms in the industry, she recently started with a small technology and design firm located in Brooklyn called Morley Inc. And this shift to a smaller firm means less travel for Elizabeth and allows her more time at home with her family. And her family is currently renovating the former Glass Mountain Inn on about 214 in Phoenicia. So I feel these same qualities, these same characteristics that has helped us with the short-term rental committee, with the zoning board of appeals, can serve very well on the Shandaken Town Board. So I nominate Elizabeth Neisel for Shandaken Town Board.
John Byer.
I'm John Byer. I've been a Shandaken resident for 73 years. I haven't been a Democrat for quite that long, but since the 60s. I would like to second nomination, and I've met Ellie briefly, Elizabeth, and she's very energetic, she's knowledgeable, and intelligent, and that's what we need.
Okay. Thank you, John. David?
Hi, I'm David Bundy. I live in Pine Hill. I'm a registered Democrat. I'm here to nominate Angel Molina for Shandaken Town Council. I first met Angel at a New Year's Eve party at my house years ago, where he showed up unexpectedly as a friend of friends, because he was so enthusiastic about the area and meeting the people here. From conversations that night and over the years after, he obviously loved this town. He was someone who wanted to make a home here and find a sense of place. Since then, I've known him to always be willing to lend a hand on a project, give advice, and share his knowledge, and even bring by an unsolicited pizza at lunchtime. He and his family are engaged in the hamlet I live in. He's an active member of the Pine Hill Fire Department. His wife Gigi is on the community center board. I believe Angel will proactively and responsibly promote the development and welfare of the town while respecting the natural resources of the Catskills. In the 10+ years I've lived here, which isn't nearly as long as a lot of you, but not without significance, I've seen a lot of changes, some good, some bad. Angel has too. He's talked with me about the heritage, the long-lived businesses in the community here, from well before he arrived, but also the opportunity for new businesses and expanding communities supported by a modern infrastructure with broader cellular service, wider access to internet, etc., deep into the hollows. All this while keeping aware of the Shandaken narrative, the people, the land, the history that we're all always a part of, no matter how long we've called this place home. This awareness counts, and I think Angel gets it. He'll hit the ground running with a vital new energy. With that being said, I enthusiastically nominate Angel Molina for Shandaken Town Board.
Gigi?
Hi, my name is Gigi Louiso. Lifelong Democrat. Well, since 12th grade, my parents told me I was a Republican. Literally within a year later, I'm like, no, I'm not. So since then, I've been a lifelong Democrat. Pine Hill, live on Woodchuck Valley, and Woodchuck Hollow Road, and I proudly and enthusiastically second the nomination of Angel. I think I can't even get him. I'm still a part-time resident. He's full-time. I can't get him back to the city at all. He's fallen in love. He volunteers his time with the fire department and really helps neighbors any chance he gets. And that's it.
Thank you, Gigi. Josh Brown?
I'm going to have to fix this mic for me. And Joyce, I like that trick with the long scroll of paper. I just got a little piece. Sorry, Kevin. I'm here to nominate Kevin Van Blarkum for town board. Kevin is a true son and brother of Shandaken. He's a true local. He's so local he could walk here. When he asked me to do this the other day, it didn't take long to think of just a few words that, to me, spoke to the character of Kevin. The first one that came to mind was genuine. He's a truly genuine soul. He's honest. He's very reliable. I had the pleasure of, I've actually been somewhat responsible for him getting into the brewing industry and got to work side by side with him for a bunch of years. And we could always count on Kevin. He's very reliable. A word that came up just recently, I think Gigi, you mentioned volunteer. For those of us who volunteer in this town, we're all busy people. It's very challenging to our lives to volunteer, and it's very generous. Kevin has been a volunteer as long as I've known him in many different ways. He's been a coach. He's been a soccer coach at Onteora. He's a ski instructor at Bel Air, which is a racing team. I don't ever think of Kevin as being self-motivated, and I know that he loves his town as much and more than anybody. So much he left and then he came back. So I nominate Kevin Van Blarkum, and hope you do too. He's also been serving on the board currently, and in my opinion, he's done a great job.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay, so I am Rolf Reese. I still live in Woodland Valley. A lot of you here obviously know Kevin since he was a little punk kid and love him. His entire family is well rooted here. I'm really proud to second the nomination for Kevin. It is a no-brainer. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for town council? Second call, are there any more nominations for town council? Third and final call, are there any more nominations for town council? Ask for a motion to close nominations. Second? All in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Nominations are closed for town council. All right. We are now going to vote on paper ballot for... Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I got way ahead of me. Sorry. Robert, you're first.
Hello, everyone. I would like to begin by, of course, saying thank you to Liz Potter for the nomination. Thank you to Beth for the second. Thank you to all of you who are working the caucus and helped plan it. And then, of course, thank you for all of you coming on this beautiful summer day. It takes a lot to come out this for the sake of governance and for the sake of community. Now, as I look across the room, there's many of you who I recognize. Recognized from work that I've done with the libraries, from volunteering at the plant sale some years ago, from volunteering with the Woodstock Land Conservancy for a period of time, from attending town board meetings, and from just around town. And in the time that I've done that, I've had conversations with many of you. And the issues that you've brought up have ranged in scope from the broken window in town hall to cell service on the 28 corridor. They have ranged from our well-known housing issues to floods and invasives. We have a lot of issues. We have a lot of things that we would like to see in the town, big and small. Now, there are three things that I think tie all of these projects together. Everything that we want to see, including the things we don't even know that we want yet. Now, the first of those is, of course, money. It's always money. It's always one of the issues. It's something we need. And to that, all I can offer is that I am currently the assistant director of a library system, a consortium of public libraries. And in that capacity, I have applied for and administered millions of dollars worth of state, local, county, federal, and private grants. We might need a new camera. The second thing that ties all the projects together is, of course, managing the project. Once you get the money, you have to actually do something with it. To that, I am the head of an IT department. I have a staff of about 14, and we serve across the consortia approximately 2,000 staff members, 54 buildings, of what is ultimately part of about a $200 million operation per year. And in that, I have managed and thankfully been able to take to completion multi-million-dollar infrastructure and facilities projects, ultimately driven to help those communities. And the last item is by far the hardest, and that is communication. And that is the hardest one, because I'm naturally a little bit shy, and this is kind of an intimidating sort of environment. But also because it's not just me. Communication involves all of you. And I can't think of anything better than the fact that we've got so many folks here today on not one of the better days, and that you have so much enthusiasm for the future of your community. And the only thing I can say to that is that my hope, my deepest hope, would be to build on that, to build on what you have demonstrated today and keep that going every day. Because working together, I have no doubt that we'll be able to create a community that is even better than the one that we already have. I would just like to conclude, same way I started, by saying thank you. Thank you, of course, to all the people who I named before. Thank you as well to all of my fellow candidates who I have no doubt are exceptional and offer a ton to the town. And then, of course, again, thank you so much to all of you again for attending. It is an incredible honor and privilege to stand here. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for the privilege.
Elizabeth?
Hello, everyone. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you, Mark and John. Greatly appreciated. So I know a lot of you. I've met a lot of you recently. 3 years, as Mark said, my family and I moved here from Brooklyn. We chose Phoenicia because we'd been spending a lot of time up here, and quite honestly, we love Phoenicia. Our realtor dragged us around, Jane Simmons, and made us look at a lot of properties all over the place, but I knew before we looked at the first property we were going to move to Phoenicia. This is the place we fell in love with when we started coming to the Caucus. I moved here because this is a wonderful town. I had a great feeling, a wonderful sense of community. I knew at some point in time that I would get involved in the community. I wanted to be involved in the community, and that would happen someday when we finished renovating, when I slowed down work, when I semi-retired, I call it. That happened immediately. I was in town, and I guess people had figured out who that new face was at the town board meetings, who kept speaking up and asking questions, so they asked me to join the STR committee as revenge. And that's where I started learning about this town. Sure, I knew who the people were, I knew where it was, I knew about the climate. Didn't take too long to learn about garbage and bears. But when I was on the STR committee, I started learning about the people here, what they wanted, what mattered. And it was good to jump in with such a simple issue on day one. So I listened. I spent a long time listening to people because I didn't know. I didn't know what to do here. I did not know how to solve that problem. But together, the team of, I forget how many of us, 11, I think, spent a little over a year. Some of us were doing a lot of listening, some of us were doing a lot of talking. If you want to listen in this town, it's easy. There are a lot of people who will talk to you and tell you about issues. Some of those people were on the committee, and then next I learned a lot listening to people on the zoning board. I have learned a lot from Mark Lodi, just listening to him and his experience here. I've learned some things from people who pulled up in my driveway and yelled their ideas to me. Or they yelled them at my wife because they didn't know which one of us was which. But I still learned those things because I'd listened from inside, and it was her turn to be yelled at. So I do I do spend a lot of time talking to people. As much as I love this town, yes, I'm aware there are a lot of issues here. We do have some problems, not just the short-term rentals blowing up that people are angry about. Housing, touched on, everybody knows about the cost of housing going up. It's been going up in here for decades. It's getting harder and harder to afford a house, harder and harder to raise a family here, harder to keep our young people here. We can't legislate the cost of real estate. We can't just all of a sudden decide, that's it, we're making all the homes cheap. First of all the people hoping to retire on their homes really hate that. So we've got to find different solutions. In the cities, in Saugerties and Kingston, they're building tiny houses, they're building affordable housing. That's not really an easy solution here. All the land the town owns are in flood zones. So we've got to get a little more creative on how we do that. So I started talking to the business owners in towns who are tired of not having places for their employees to live. I started talking to realtors who are very aware of what's going on. They're not that upset about the housing prices going up, but they're aware, they love this town, they live here too. I've been approached by a couple of realtors with some really good ideas on what we can do about it. I find that if you do go around and talk to the people in this town and listen to what they say, we have a lot of people who've been here a very long time. They have a lot of great ideas. If you listen long enough, you'll start seeing what does and doesn't work. I spend a lot of time at town hall. I've gotten to know a lot of the people there. There are a lot of great people in town hall who have been doing a lot of great things, and I would really like the chance to work with some of them to keep doing some of the great work around here. I do have some ideas. I do have some plans. I think it's going to take a lot of grassroots efforts to solve our problems. Infrastructure, everybody knows about the infrastructure problem here. Everyone knows about the cell service and the internet service. What about the water department? A lot of people aren't aware of the condition of our water and septic systems and the struggle that a few select people, they're here tonight, are doing to keep water alive and septic alive in this town. And it's going to become a big problem really soon. Robert's absolutely right. Money, we're going to need some money. We're going to need a lot of money. We're going to need grant writers. We have some good grant writers in this town. Just take a look at the Phoenician Theater, the new deck, the porch, and the work being done there, all being done by local, the money raised by grant writers. Again, some of whom are here tonight who raised the money for those theaters. We just need to get all of our people together to focus on the issues, get through them, and we need to listen to each other and band together. I really think that that is a big part of the solution. I'm not going to tell you I can fix everything, but enough of you are going to tell me how to do it. Thank you all. I've been honored to have you support.
Hello, Democrats. Once again, my name is Angel Molina, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Before I get started, I want to thank someone, and every time I do things off the cuff, I always get in trouble, so I'm going to stick to the game plan for a second. I'd like to thank my family and friends for encouraging me to run. I'd like to thank David and Gigi for their endorsement and for nominating me. And speaking of endorsements, I'd like to thank the Working Families Party for their endorsement. And by the way, I will be on the ballot in November on that line, but being a lifelong Democrat and being a long-term resident of Pine Hill as well, I'd like to seek the Democratic nomination as well. I'd like to also thank the Ulster County Democratic Women, especially OTLE, and the Upper Hudson Central Labor Council, and being a Teamster as well. I appreciate their endorsement. And the only reason that I mention all these is because if I'm elected, I'm calling them. I'm relying on them for their help, their expertise, and their resources in order to help solve some of the issues that we have here in this town. I'm also a proud alum of the National Urban Fellows, and I think that that's significant too, because what it is that I'll be able to tap into that vast network of leaders. Some of them are mayors, executive at nonprofit organizations throughout this country. Some of my classmates, one of my classmates is a New York State Assemblywoman. Another of my classmate works at the mayor's office in Los Angeles. So there's a lot of talent, and so I can tap into them as well and call them, which I absolutely will, to try and solve some of the issues here in the country. I mean, in our area here. I'm more interested, and by the way, I'm sorry if you got a robocall from me, so I apologize for that. But there's a lot of issues that have already been discussed, and for anyone who has not received one of my little flyers, there's a little bit of information there as well. But the crux of it is that I think that the proof is in the pudding. And I think that when I drove by Town Hall today, I mean, the place looked abandoned to me. You know, the sign's falling off, needs paint, and not to be critical of the people that work there, because I think that they're very smart, and I think that it's a good team that's there. But I think it's also a sign of leadership, and I think that it's time for change, and I think it's time for more aggressive, I think it's more open-minded and forward-thinking leadership that's needed in order to move the agenda forward. And that's what I would like to propose for you, and that's what I'm willing to do for you. So I thank you for your time, and you could not do any better with all the candidates that are here today. So regardless of the outcome, I think that you're very fortunate to have the candidates that you have today. Thank you very much.
Kevin?
So, 4 years ago I came to this caucus and I asked you for your blessing as I was running for town board. I came to you 27 years old, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and determined to hit the ground running. With that in mind, here we are 4 years later. Admittedly, I'm a changed man. My tail feels significantly less bushy, my eyes more tired than bright. But I promise you, my resolve has never been stronger. The people of this town put their faith in me when they elected me to town board. That's not a responsibility that I've taken lightly the entire time. You trusted me, and I've tried to lead with the dignity and integrity and honesty that this position deserves. Your trust means everything. The town board and our current supervisor also trusted me when they appointed me a little over a year and a half ago as deputy supervisor. That appointment meant everything, and I have tried to meet the expectations. Over that year and a half, I've helped to lead this town through a pandemic, through the largest flooding event since Hurricane Irene, and at this very moment, I'm serving as your interim supervisor. Over the past 4 years, I've tried to learn, communicate, and I've tried to grow for the better of the town. Many of you know me, so I could stand up here and tell you all of my good deeds. I could tell you about my family and my background. I could tell you what a good guy I am. I could tell you about my work with the Police Commission, Reform Commission. I could tell you about my work with the SDR Committee. I could lecture you on Parks and Rec. I could talk to you about flood mitigation with the Safari Committee. I could talk to you about the Morton Memorial Library where I serve as treasurer. I could tell you about my community service that I did growing up here, all of which was non-mandatory, by the way. I could stand up here and air my grievances. I could stand up here and vent my frustrations. Instead, in the name of keeping it short, I'll leave you with this. I love this town more than anything. This is the town that welcomed me from infancy to adulthood. It's a town that is so obvious to me has limitless potential. It's the town that molded the person you see standing before you. Regardless, I will continue to give this town everything that I have. And I hope that I can do that as your candidate. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if the name checkers and the ballot counters would please come up and set up behind me, I will now explain to the caucus about how we're going to vote tonight. Okay, okay, ladies and gentlemen, now this is the voting procedure. What's going to happen is, it's split up here alphabetically, A to E, F to J, K to Q, and R to Z. So, what you're going to get on the appropriate line, when you go to the name checker, please clearly state your name, show the checker your number. Now, you got the code check numbers. Could I have a sample of anybody's code check numbers? Okay. So, you will show your number to the name checker. The name checker will write your number on the ballot and give you the ballot. Then you will circle your choices. Now you only need to vote on highway superintendent and town council. Okay? So after you do that, you circle. You don't have to vote on any of the other ones. They're already decided.
No, there are two openings, there are two candidates.
No, it's just highway superintendent and town council. So what you will do is, you will fold your ballot in half after you make your choices. There's going to be a ballot table here. Ballot box here. And there will be somebody by it. And then there will also be one over there. We're going to repurpose that table over there, and there'll be a ballot box over there. So you'll do that. What you will do is, when you will drop in your ballot, you will tear off the bottom number and put that in there with the ballot. It doesn't have to be attached or anything. It can go in loose. You hold on to the other part of the ticket in case there is a tie. We have extra ballots written up. We'll have to go through the whole process again, and you will use the other part of your number for that. Now, we were extremely lucky tonight to have more people than numbers. So, some of you got a Post-it, which I did, okay? So what you will do, if you have a Post-it, stop and see Otia Lee right there. Get a paper from her with your number on it before you put your ballot in with the first number, because you will need your second number to vote in case there is a tie. All right? Hang out. We'll announce the winners for the two offices after that, and then we will close the caucus. Are you ready, Doris? Are all the name checkers up here, please? If you could just hold on for a second, ladies and gentlemen, please, we still have to get the table set up.
I love Nisha.
Close enough. You going? You voted? Okay. See you later.
ballots at 200. It must be 220.
It's no wonder I need to sit at the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not voted, please approach the check-in table. We're about to close it. All right, voting is closed, ladies and gentlemen. We're counting the ballots. We have an announcement here from Otia.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out. What a showing. Wonderful crowd. Thank you so very much, Shandaken tonight. As you know, my name is Otia, and I'm making the following announcement on behalf of the Ulster County Democratic Women, of which I am the Vice President, as well as the campaign chair. We are having our endorsement meeting later on in August. So I am giving an open call to all my Shandaken friends and neighbors who are candidates to log on to our website and put your application in if you wish to have our support. And of course, I want to mention that Kathy Nolan is already endorsed because she's the county level, and we do that early, and she had no opposition whatsoever. So I hope everyone will have a very good evening, and once again, thank you for turning out. All right, Shandaken!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have the results, and if you could, after I give the results, if you could just hang for 1 second, because I have to make a motion to close the caucus. So if you would help me close the caucus after that. All right, so for Highway Superintendent, Eric Hoffmeister received 62 votes. Joe Rotella received 49. So Eric Hoffmeister is the successful nominee. For Town Council, Robert Drake received 77 votes. Elizabeth Neisel received 70. Angel Molina received 14. Kevin Van Blarkum received 50. So Robert Drake and Elizabeth Neisel are the successful nominees for Town Council. So again, I can't thank you all enough for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. So I ask for a motion.
Motion to close the caucus?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, everybody.